what when you cast what the fuck when you cast the real kids from the slums, boy. By Dusima, there's a movie. I don't know what movie. I think he's talking about multiple movies in the video.
This is City of God, probably the most realistic crime film ever made, and by many considered one of the greatest crime films of all time. While it's often called the Brazilian Goodfellas,
Never the Brazilian Goodfellas. What a way to describe that's I'm already. What do you say? The hand of God. What?
realistic crime film ever made. This is City of God.
City of God, boy. The Brazilian Goodfellas is all you needed to say, sir, and you got me. I'm already gonna watch this movie, sir.
Probably the most realistic crime film ever made, and by many considered one of the greatest crime films of all time. While it's often called the Brazilian Goodfellas, City of God is nothing like your traditional gangster film. It has no famous actors.
Why say gangster like that, bruh? Gangster.
Like your traditional gangster film. It has no famous actors, no gangsters in suits like The Godfather, and it's no rags to riches story like Scarface.
Your son made it, mama. It's a success.
City of God does not romanticize crime in
Scarface, boy. That all lost up. Here's the definition of the lost in the sauce, sir.
any shape or form. Instead, it shows the bleak lives of kids growing up in the favelas of Rio de Janeiro, struggling to survive another day. But director Fernando Meirelles didn't want professional actors to perform this story. He wanted people who had actually seen it, felt it, and lived it. Therefore, the people you see on screen aren't actors. They are actual residents of the favelas of Rio de Janeiro, standing in front of the camera
I wasn't paying attention.
another day. But director Fernando Meirelles didn't want professional actors to perform this story. He wanted people who had actually seen it.
From the actual valley to the. That's what I want to do. So when I'm up, I want to make a movie like. Hold on. I'm not gonna see nothing.
Felt it, and lived it. Therefore, the people you see on screen aren't actors. They are actual residents of the favelas of Rio de Janeiro, standing in front of the camera for the very first time. While journalists had been writing about how dangerous these neighborhoods were for decades, and even documentaries had been made about it, nobody outside of Brazil was paying any attention to them.
Nobody wanted to put any money on the film because everybody was saying that this would be a flop. Because unknown actors, very violent story, inside favelas, nobody is interested in.
Very real story, sir. That's not violent, it's just real, boy. Shit that actually happens, sir. Always are scared of the truth, sir. Call that shit violent, boy.
Seen favela, that's what they tell me.
But when City of God came out in 2002, it did something no article or documentary ever managed to do. It put you inside that world so convincingly that it went on to be screened in over 100 countries and earned 4 Academy Award nominations. So today I want to dive into the story of City of God. Earned 4 Academy Award nominations. So today I want to dive into
what is the source backstory, sir? How is he, bruh? Alexis McAllister, bruh.
the story of City of God and show you how it became one of the most realistic crime films ever made. But in order to understand how, we first need to get a better understanding of where this story started. City of God is based on a true story and is narrated by a young boy named Rocket, who grows up in the slums of Rio de Janeiro. In the 1960s, the Brazilian government relocated poor locals from central Rio to the suburbs, clearing out valuable land under the promise of giving them better lives. They moved them to housing projects on the outskirts of Rio de Janeiro, one of which was Cidade de Deus. The name was a bold promise.
Don't let the pubs, I won't lie to you, sir.
But in reality, it was nothing like it. City of God was a wasteland with no jobs and no infrastructure, and in just a decade, City of God became one of the most violent places in Brazil.
Mas na Cidade de Deus, se correr o bicho pega.
Don't show Call of Duty this map, sir. This right here, don't show them this place.
God was
They're
a
gonna
wasteland with no
take that in, make into a map, right? Like as soon as they see this shit, sir.
jobs and no infrastructure, and in just a decade, City of God became one of the most violent places in Brazil.
Mas na Cidade de Deus, se correr o bicho pega. E se ficar o bicho come.
the story revolves around the lives of three friends, referred to as the Tender Trio, who grow up in a city where poverty
Tender
and crime
Trio.
have become the way of life.
Why
Alongside
would
them,
you willingly name yourself the Tender Trio, bruh?
there is a kid named Lil Dice, who enjoys killing people just for the fun of it, which already tells you enough about how crazy things are about to get. The movie shows the rise of these innocent kids into ruthless gangsters, but our narrator Rocket is not like the other characters in the film. He is not interested in becoming a gangster or a drug dealer. Instead, he's passionate about photography, and wants to capture the true essence of life in the city through his camera, and so he set off
Damn, this shit like a mix between damn, is it Boys in the Hood and Juice? I feel like it's a mix between them.
on a journey through the lens of his camera. But to truly understand Rocket, let's spin back to the real person his character is based on. A man who grew up in the real Cidade de Deus. His name is Paulo Lins. Paulo Lins wrote the book Cidade de Deus.
Nah, I need to stop. Nah, I'm not making fun of no headlines anymore. He said that you're gonna come back with me and I can't have that shit. This shit hit good as fuck, boy.
That the movie is
Pause, not like that.
based on, and spent 8 years of his life documenting all the violence around him.
Morrer inocente morre há muitos anos. Eu vi muitos amigos meus morrerem. Meu pai, minhas tias, um sobrinho que morreu novo. Isso são as coisas mais fortes da minha vida, né? Mas isso é muito pessoal, isso acontece na vida de todo mundo. Isso foi uma coisa que tanto é que eu escrevi sobre isso, né?
A few years after the book was published, director Fernando Meirelles read it and wanted to share the story with the rest of the world by adapting it into a film. But there was Meirelles read it and wanted to share the story with
Bro, this motherfucker. Bro. This motherfucker right here look exactly like one of my bras. Bras mean like homie, like friend. He look exactly like one of my bras. That's some real shit, boy. Like that shit tripped me the fuck out,
the rest of the world by adapting it into a film. But there was one problem. He couldn't get any funding for the movie, because studios didn't think there would be any demand for a story quite like this. And so he decided to take the risk and invest his own money for the sake of the story.
I decided to finance the film myself. For the last 10 years I had got some money. I got money doing commercials, so I had some. And I decided to invest in my own film just because I couldn't stop. I was so involved.
The most important thing for director Fernando Meirelles and co-director Katja Lund when creating City of God was authenticity. And so in order to find the right people to tell the story, they had to go back to its origins.
I knew my biggest challenge would be cast. Because in Brazil, even if I wanted, there wasn't this amount of young black actors at all. I mean, you could count like 2, 3, maybe not the best ones. So I knew from the beginning that to shoot this film, I would have to create actors.
During pre-production, they went to the favelas and housing projects of Rio de Janeiro and ran free acting workshops for the local children, not telling them that it was for a film.
And we invited people who was interested in a workshop on acting. I never mentioned we was gonna make a film after the workshop.
What the fuck that got to do with acting, except?
For a film.
And we invited people who was
During pre-production, they went to the favelas and housing projects of Rio de Janeiro and ran free acting workshops for the local children, not telling them that it was for a film.
And we invited people who was interested in a workshop on acting.
What the fuck that got to do with acting, except? No way.
Mentioned we was gonna make a film after the workshop. It was just free workshop. They would get the tickets, the bus ticket, and sandwich and Coke.
Hundreds of kids from these communities came to the workshops, none of them having any acting experience. And by letting them improvise scenes from the movie, they were able to see their raw and genuine performances without any pressure or filters.
Nah,
And we had
get him in
a
the
lot of
movie. He need to be in the movie, except he has to be in the movie, boy. That's a stay and a half, except. That's like, boy, I want to do bad things to you, except.
To see their raw and genuine performances without any pressure or filters.
And we had a lot of people interested. I selected 200 boys. So we would do 3 groups every day for a month. In the end,
What was that fucking fake ass laugh, except?
selected 200 boys. So we would do 3 groups every day for a month. In the end of the exercises, we would ask them to improvise scenes. Well, let's suppose you're a policeman, you're a drug dealer, and of course they were improvising the scenes of the film. So they start rehearsing the film without knowing that there was part of the film. When we shot the film, they knew the scenes more or less, and they never got the script. They were allowed to improvise and to change positions, so they were almost playing themselves. That's why it's so authentic.
But besides the 17-year-old Rocket, who had never faced a camera before, one of the most memorable and iconic roles of the film is the character of Lil Zay, the main antagonist of the story, played by Leandro Firmino. Lil Zay, aka
He did get into the movie, bruh. He needed to accept. I saw that one shot of him, boy. I knew he had it, bruh. He got it.
Zay Pequeno is one of the most horrifying characters ever to appear in film, and the brutal monster that Lil Zay is unfortunately not a creation of fiction, but a real person who once lived in and terrorized the favelas of Rio de Janeiro.
Tadinho caralho, meu nome agora é Zé Pequeno, porra.
Z. Sniper game.
The actor who played him, however, actually was from the City of God, and had no ambitions whatsoever to become an actor. He only went to the workshop to keep his friends company.
Pô, tá sendo uma coisa muito nova pra mim, cara. Super nova. Às vezes eu mesmo paro pra pensar que é assim dentro de casa, caramba. Pô, tô fazendo um filme.
When we first meet Lil Zay as a kid, he calls himself Lil Dice, and he appears to be just an oversmart boy, but we soon realize he enjoys participating in violence and killing people.
Marco! Aí!
Badass little motherfucker. What the fuck? What the fuck you gonna do? You randomly running one day, you come across a little motherfucker like this, not older than 10, with a revolver in his hand, boy. It's fucked up.
Toma pra tu. Vai ficar beleza, tu vai precisar. Toma.
Why would you go? What? No, you deserve it. I won't lie to you. You went closer to the Lord, motherfucker, with a gun, eh? You got this shit pointed at you, and you go closer.
Vai ficar beleza, tu vai precisar. Toma.
Throughout the film, we really start to despise him because of his attitude and actions. When he grows up, he gives himself the title Lil Zay, and wears that title like a godlike figure. Lil Zay is not your typical Hollywood villain whose violence is somehow justified. Apart from the fact that he lives in this ruthless city, he has no reasons to kill, but he still chooses to, because it gives him some kind of pleasure. In one of the most shocking scenes of the
he's lost, boy.
film, we see Lil Zay and his gang forcing a young child who is barely old enough to hold a gun to shoot another innocent kid, just to prove himself, even asking him if he wants to be shot in the hand or the foot. At that moment, we really get to see the true nature of Lil Zay's brutality, and just how senseless the
This motherfucker evil, boy. This motherfucker evil, boy.
violence really is. Because
This was a
violence
real
for him is merely a fun activity. While the kid does it because he wants to survive, Lil Zay simply enjoys the thrill of it.
Escolhe, moleque. Quer tomar o tiro aonde? No pé ou na mão?
No pé ou na mão?
Na mãozinha, né?
Despite never having acted before,
That's fucked, boy. Maybe I don't wanna watch the movie.
Leandro Firmino ended up playing one of the most terrifying and realistic villains in film history, and the kid who's getting shot in the foot was only 5 years old, somehow delivering an incredibly realistic performance which makes
God, I didn't even think about that, bruh.
you hold your breath
Crazy.
throughout the entire scene. But the reason that City of God feels so realistic is not only due to the casting of these kids, it was also their specific filmmaking process and how they went about shooting these scenes. Director Fernando Meirelles intentionally didn't show them a script or made these kids hit certain marks, because performing would have felt too forced. Instead, the cameraman would be like a fly on the wall, observing how these kids would react to one another in certain situations.
Like a fucking stream mixer.
There was a script, because I never showed them any script. So I said, today we're gonna do that scene that you come here and you ask
You
him.
streamed the
That's
movie, boy.
how we would, rehearse and then shoot. Watch the film carefully. You see that there's no continuity at all. I would never give them marks to hit, Just let them play like a theater play, like a performance. And our cameraman, our DP, Cesar Shaloni, prepared the light. There was no stands on the set. And he would just grab as a documentary the thing really happening. And that's how we shot. And that's why it feels so authentic.
This
Yo, whoever this is, bruh, whoever was following this chicken eat a pit rice, boy. Was that shit look crazy, boy.
prepared the light. There
That
was
should
no
be fire.
stands on the set, and he would just grab as a documentary the thing really happening, and that's how we shot. And
Yeah.
that's why it looks feels so authentic.
This guerrilla style of filmmaking is what makes City of God feel so realistic, and it works so well because of how style and substance support each other. Because the film was shot on multiple locations high up in the favelas that were notoriously hard to reach, the crew was small and the gear had to be light. The handheld cameras didn't just make the crew more flexible, it also gave the film this documentary style look that added to the story's narrative of its gritty, raw and unstable environment, which in and of itself wasn't perfect either. That's why the main thing that immediately stands out when you first see City of God is its unique visual style. The film was shot
Yeah,
on
I was
analog
about to say, bro. Oh, I wasn't about to say. I thought it's in the start of the video. They should look different, bro. The color gradient.
16mm cameras, which on the one hand were chosen because they're cheaper, lighter and easier to move around. But the lower quality film also adds a lot of grain and rawness to the image. And for the wide landscape shots, higher quality 35mm film was used, giving the movie this nostalgic image of Rio de Janeiro.
Yeah, that shit look crazy, boy.
But another unique aspect is the way the story is beautifully told through the use of color and editing. The story takes place across 3
And I'm
decades.
also seeing in like the dark scenes, it's dark, boy, but in the light scenes, it's like colorful, like say. But like I'm noticing when Darobi is acting back, like say, with him looking like a villain and shit, the light scene be dark as shit, boy.
The
To make it
60s,
seem like more villain, like in the shadows and shit.
the 70s, and the 80s. In the 60s,
I
gangs
knew
are
I was gonna get Pixar. We didn't finish the video before the game. Hold on. I'll be back.
just starting to form, and the city is slowly deteriorating. So the color palette is warm and yellowish, and the editing has a natural, unhurried rhythm. By the 70s, coldness starts to take over. The editing starts to get more chaotic, and the color palette shifts with it, becoming colder and more unsaturated. And by the 80s, we're in a full-blown drug war, and the entire film is draped in a dark, monotone atmosphere. As these kids grow up from the 60s to the 80s, the environment of the City of God grows more and more dangerous. The characters go from naive children coming to terms with the world to ruthless criminals.
Fucking grow up us in the galley, shit happens, boy. You know what I'm saying?
The only thing that remains constant is the killing. They kill as kids and they kill as adults.
Tu ouviu, moleque?
I'ma just download the thing. I forgot to unpause the recording. I'ma just download the whole voice and cut it up.
Tem que formar com nós aqui, senão tu tá fudido. Galinha, tu tá morto.
The world of City of God is one without authority, where the young makes the rules. But it's frightening how young these kids actually are. They play with guns like they are toys, and are praying before shootouts, but have no real concept of life or death. These kids simply don't know any better. This is the life they were born into.
Por que você vai querer ser quando você crescer? Ah, não sei não. Mas eu não quero ser nem bandido nem policial. Ué, por quê? Ah, porque eu tenho medo de tomar tiro.
Think about the world you grew up in, the role models you had, and the examples of success around you. Now imagine that none of that existed. You have no one to guide you, barely have any education, and no idols to positively influence you. That is the world.
Also look like Franklin Saints, what's that old
Guide you.
Damson, Idris Damson.
Barely have any education and no idols to positively influence you. That is the world of City of God.
Mas para o governo e os ricos, não importava o nosso problema. Como eu disse, a cidade de Deus fica muito longe do cartão postal do Rio de Janeiro.
In a place like City of God, the gangsters are the success story. They are the ones with the money, the clothes, and the respect. For most of these kids, becoming a gangster is the fastest way of achieving success and power. And so the only question becomes whether you're willing to do what it takes to get it. Even though our narrator Rocket faces the same poverty, peer pressure, and temptations as his peers, he finds a legitimate escape route and purpose through the lens of his camera. While all the other characters choose violence, Rocket uses art as his weapon and channels his ambition into a passion for photography rather than gang violence.
Tá bom aqui? Tá ótimo.
Nobody expected City of God to become this popular. It had no English dialogue, not a single known face, and a cast with no experience. And yet, it earned 4 Academy Award nominations.
Cesar Charlone for City of God.
Daniel Resende for City of God.
Almost like they made like a real art and not just names getting the awards, you know what I'm saying?
Braulio Mantovani for City of God.
For City of God, Fernando Mireles.
On top of that, City of God sits on every list of the greatest films ever made, and inspired a whole new wave of Brazilian cinema.
There was several, 10 or 12 films came right after with the same environment, same kind of characters. So it became really like a wave of films that revealed this world for Brazil, which was good.
But for Brazil itself, not everyone agreed on
Boy,
its
that look exactly like the Flatzeug, sir.
Revealed this world for Brazil, which was good.
But for Brazil,
That's fucking dope, sir. This the Gali, sir. No, where's the whole houses? Flat, boy. That's what I'm saying, sir. Brazil and South Africa are like the same, sir. But hold on. There's ones with this exact design here, sir. I swear. There's it here. Boy, I'm telling you, sir. Brazil and South Africa is the same place, sir.
itself, not everyone agreed on its reputation of the city. Its authenticity was questioned for poor representation, stating that it reduced an entire community to its worst moments, showing the world the violence while leaving out everything else. But according to its directors, visibility, even painful visibility, was better than silence. The sad reality is that many young boys and girls who appeared in the film went back to the neighborhoods they came from, and some struggled to find any work at all. But even though the movie couldn't save all the lives of these kids, it still managed to leave a mark on everyone, the ones who watched it, as well as everyone involved in it.
And so City of God was a very important book, especially for the story of the favelas in Brazil. How powerful it was, that journey. It was a story of the country, of what was happening. But he did in a beautiful way that it was so cinematic that people all over the world loved it. But we did never thinking that it would take that size, and it changed my life.
City of God is a film that doesn't give you easy answers. By the end of the film, kids are the winners within Cidade de Deus, and they are the ones left in charge.